lying moms are part of Antifa. They're not limiting who they're attacking. This is not ICE agents going after the worst of the worst.
This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello, and welcome to the Think Tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased and logical conclusions. Today we're here to talk about the very, very real dangers that Donald Trump now imposes on all Americans. Whether you're pro-Trump, pro-MAGA, against MAGA, like me, part of the resistance, there are certain things, certain aspects of his speech that you really need to pay attention to. Two of the things. One, he is speaking about canceling elections in 2026. The rhetoric goes, hey, everybody, this is your boy Leo. You know me. I've been doing commercials for 15 years, television commercials, radio ads, billboards. Now I'm trying to step it into the big leagues. I want to be an independent filmmaker. I've got the degrees, I've got the experience, and I need your help to make my first independent film, Garot. So Garot is Boys in the Hood meets Clue. So these dudes from Brooklyn is trying to buy their drugs to supply the hood. So they go to the mafia stronghold and they purchase their drugs, but one of them turns up dead. And now there's a race to find out who did it. The Godfather's going to send in his hit squad, Squadra Assassina, to take them out. They don't figure out who did it because somebody died on his turf and he's not happy and he can't have stuff like that happening in his business. So please, if you want to show support, my Kickstarter campaign is down in the description box. From Donald Trump, that, historically, most presidents lose by the midterms. They are down in the polls. The Congress shifts. In recent history, it's only been twice in like the last 50 years that it didn't shift. Maybe we shouldn't have elections. Why that rhetoric matters? Because the staunchest MAGA supporters will do what they always do. They'll say, that's just Trump being Trump. Until he does it. And then they'll defend it. He's also putting in place pieces that can allow him to somehow usurp these elections. He's floating the idea of levying the Insurrection Act. What does the Insurrection Act do and why is this rhetoric dangerous? Basically, there's a law prohibiting him. Now, I'm not an attorney, so this is my meager understanding. But basically, there's a law prohibiting him from placing troops and keeping them in place like he's been trying to do all this time. That law is called the Posse Comitatus. It means that, if he wants to place troops, he should at least be like, hey, Gov, what's going on there? The troops are supposed to be requested. There are only two ways Donald Trump can get around the fact that the federal courts said he can't put troops in because it's against the Constitution. One way is if Congress signs off on it. Congress can send troops, just like they can declare war. Not that Donald Trump cares what Congress says, as Venezuela proves. The other way is the Insurrection Act. If he says, well, there's an insurrection, like he didn't do on January 6th, he can call in the troops, like he didn't do on January 6th. And he can keep them there indefinitely under false pretenses. So what we've been talking about here on the think tank for months since it began was he's using ICE to cause an insurrection, to cause fighting in the streets with the police, to cause chaos. And once he's got enough that he can say, well, look what's happening on the ground. Kind of like the war zone activity we've been seeing. Here's an example.
Chilling new video just now emerging in the immigration crackdown in Minnesota. ICE agents seen bursting through the door of an immigrant family's home in Minneapolis. and what influential podcaster Joe Rogan is now saying.
I don't want to hear what Joe Rogan's saying. Great, Joe Rogan woke up and like, yo, Mac is a monster. Trump is something wrong with him. But this is on purpose. That disturbing footage you just watched is because Trump is trying to cause an insurrection. If it looked like a war zone, that works. So why? Because if there's military in the streets, at the polls, they can deter people from going to vote. There are already high counts of vote fraud being claimed where there was no substantial vote fraud in the history of this country that can be pointed to, even though he tried to use vote fraud to overturn the elections already. The Insurrection Act is his weapon to try and stop a fair election, fair and free election. We must come together and fight this, regardless of your party affiliation, who you believe in, what side you're on. War in the streets like we're watching happen in Minnesota. Like, we have to do something to stop this. And we can't do it alone. We need to come together. If we're fighting amongst ourselves, then this will keep going. You want to look out your window and see this? That's Minnesota. That's middle of America. They're shooting white women in the face saying, well, white line moms are part of Antifa. They're not limiting who they're attacking. This is not ICE agents going after the worst of the worst. A white liberal woman getting shot in the face because she's practicing her First Amendment right to protest is not the worst of the worst. That's not the worst of the worst. This is Elsie signing out.